Welcome to another episode of Something Witchy, a Sabrina the Teenage Witch rewatch podcast. I am Laura Cotter.
And I'm Skye Orchard.
And we are so happy to have you with us today as you drive around or do errands or maybe take a shower, whatever you're doing while you're listening to this. Thanks for being with us.
12 episodes. You did it.
12 episodes. We're halfway through the season.
Everyone gets a gold star.
You get half a gold star.
Oh, yes. End of season 1, you can get a full gold star.
1 full star. So I wanted to bring this up. So at the end of the last episode, I brought up the fact that there was a polar bear poster in the little boy's room. And I was just like, that's so weird. And then I was like, hey, maybe that exists out there somewhere on eBay. And the answer is yes, it does. And it's actually a somewhat famous artist, I guess, because it's worth money.
Oh.
It's from Augusta Augustson called Ice Bear, part of an endangered species series. And there's currently one, a serograph on eBay, going for $125.
Wow.
So if you have one of those little boys' posters, maybe it's worth something.
I wonder if this artist did one for the right whales.
The right whales. I don't know. I didn't go too far down the hole, but...
Ever want to learn about an interesting sea creature whale? Look up the right whales.
The right whale. They're our favorite.
It's true.
Endangered species.
Well, throwing back all the way to episode 1.
Yes.
Guess where I found myself online shopping the other day?
I don't know. Where?
The Gap.
Oh! What did you buy at the Gap?
Nothing, but I considered it.
What were you looking at the Gap? Some khakis?
Yeah, I was looking at like linens and linen blend.
Oh, okay.
I have supported the other Gap conglomerate though, because I went to Banana Republic and Old Navy. So I feel like ultimately ended up spending money quasi at the Gap.
It's Gap adjacent. Yeah.
100%. So sorry, Sabrina, for mocking you and wanting to shop at the Gap. I stand corrected.
I mean, I feel like Banana Republic is even like more Gap than Gap. Like Banana Republic is the step up.
It's the bougie Gap.
It is the bougie Gap. Like it's Banana Republic, then Gap, and then Old Navy.
You'd really put Gap above Old Navy?
Oh, 100%. Old Navy is for the peasants.
I will embrace that as a peasant. I hated Old Navy growing up though, because it was all like the bright colors of the 90s, 2000s, and I hated wearing bright colors.
Oh, that's why I loved it.
Now it's toned down a little bit, so I can shop there.
No, Gap is very your classics. Old Navy is much more trendy, cheaper trendy. Yeah.
Valid. Well, with that tangent out of the way.
Our question of the day would be, if you were to cast a revenge spell or somebody were to cast one on you, what do you think would be like a really good kind of low level revenge spell?
I don't know if it's low level or not, but the instant thing I thought of if someone really wanted to like torture me is just make me think I'm even seeing snakes where there aren't snakes. Like I said, it's probably not low level because I'm like mini panic attacking right now, but...
Would it be all the time or would it just be like randomly so like there was no pattern to it?
I feel like randomly just sort of corner of your eye. It could be a string on the ground and you're just freaking out. I once stepped on a snake hiking. Like these are valid fears.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a little higher than I think. That's kind of getting into mental torture. I think that ranks higher than a butt enlargement spell.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
My brain instantly went there and I cannot go lower now because I went too high.
Okay, I have one lower for you that I think would also really annoy you.
Okay.
And this one came to me as I was getting ready for setting up my computer for the podcast, that no matter which way you flip it, the USB would always be the wrong side up.
Oh, okay. You win. You win at figuring out how to torture me low level.
Mildly annoying, but like really, really just stops your day.
Yeah. There could also like be some mild like sensory, like chalk feeling or velvet feeling. I guess those are low level too. What about you?
If someone wanted to mess with me, I would say like mess with my teeth. I think like if my teeth were just like a little bit crooked or a little bit like discolored or maybe like even missing a tooth if you really wanted to get bad.
Like the feeling that you really need to floss.
I'm not great at flossing. But I got the right amount of fluoride in my diet as a child, which is why my teeth are the way they are. And I have a really, really good toothbrush, so I get away with it.
Nice. I just hate that feeling of like, ooh, I need to floss.
Oh, like having a popcorn kernel stuck? Yeah, no, that would drive me insane too, yeah.
Also, highly recommend water picks because I hate flossing as well.
I had one for a while. I don't know what happened to it. I think in the move a couple of years ago, it may have fallen by the wayside.
Well, good job thinking of a low-level torture for yourself and not jumping to extreme mental torture. You get a half gold star too.
Good job. So this is season 1, episode 12, Trial by Fury. Our TV guide description is when Sabrina's teacher causes her to fail a test, she and her aunts cast a revenge spell, or our Hulu description is Sabrina and her aunts use magic to show an unfair teacher that what goes around comes around. Do you have yet a preference on the TV guide or the Hulu description?
The revenge spell would catch me more.
But when you say what goes around comes around, I immediately start singing the Justin Timberlake song, which I'm especially enjoying right now, given his scandal that's in the news.
Yeah, there's some good him getting arrested memes out there.
Yeah.
Just gonna say.
This is gonna ruin the tour.
Love it.
I'll try and find it and post it on our Instagram too. I'll send it to you when we're done recording. It's Inigo Montoya saying this is gonna ruin the tour, and the Count saying what tour, and Inigo Montoya saying the World Tour.
There was a really good Scream one as well. I'm not sure if you're a horror fan.
I've never seen Scream. I do like a good horror movie every now and again.
We should watch it. Add it to the list.
Okay, add it to the list.
Oh my gosh. I've watched something that you haven't. I
mean, there's a lot of movies. Movie-wise, you definitely have the leg up on me. TV-wise, I have the leg up on you.
That's fair. I'll let you speak now. As I interrupt you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This episode aired January 3rd, 1997, which I feel like is really fast. I feel like most shows now don't come back until January 7th. We don't get 2 days after New Year's Eve shows anymore. Directed by Peter Baldwin, who directed Magic Joel. Writers are Nell Scovell and Norma Saffert Vila, which are Bunt Friday Magic Joel again. Guest stars, we have a few. We have Kathy Ireland as Shelley, best known as a model who was in a bunch of Sports Illustrated issues. Also from Loaded Weapon 1, Alien from LA, Necessary Roughness, and an episode of Boy Meets World. Ed Begley Jr. is Mr. James T. Rothwell. I don't know where the T came from. Did you hear that at all in the episode?
I did not, but he seems like a James T. Rothwell.
He's in A Mighty Wind, Pineapple Express, Best in Show, Whatever Works, as well as a bunch of other stuff. Henry Gibson as Judge Samuels from the Blues Brothers, Boston Legal. My favorite Disney Channel original movie, The Luck of the Irish.
That was a good one.
Henry Gibson, Timothy Omenson, filmed in Utah at Lagoon. I
didn't know it was filmed in Utah.
It was filmed in Salt Lake at Liberty Park in Salt Lake Community College, Draper at Juan Diego Catholic High School, and in Farmington at Lagoon.
Learn something every day.
Oh, yes. And he was also in Escape to Witch Mountain. We have Bumper Robinson as Clifford Weaver, who will return in season 7 as James. He has done a bunch of voice acting, including Owl House, Avengers Assemble, also in The Game, and an episode of Bones. Curtis Anderson has returned as Gordy. Sean Lawton is the arresting officer, and he only has one other acting credit, which is The Callback, which is a short film. We have Steve Banos as Judge Number 1 from Freaks and Geeks, Ned's Declassified Survival Guide, and returning to haunt me, The Naked Trucker and T-Bones Show. I don't know why this keeps popping up on people's credits. After this, I'll be looking for it. We also have an uncredited Elizabeth Harp back as Emma. All right, Skye, give it to me. What are your thoughts?
I was so confused for a second. I was like, give you what? I don't have notes. Panic. I thought it was pretty fun. Jill happened to be able to watch it today while I was taking my notes. And at the end, she's just like, that was a weird fever dream episode. I liked some of the math, puns, and jokes thrown down there. I don't think it was truly a trial by fury.
No. So last episode, I said I didn't really remember this episode. And rewatching again, I'm like, I can see why I've forgotten this episode. It's just not particularly memorable. There's nothing huge that happens in it. I definitely remembered the whole plot of Salem more than I remembered the Sabrina plot. I just didn't know what was happening in this episode, but I remembered that plot line very vividly.
Salem's truly the main character of this series, right?
Definitely of this episode, bare minimum.
No, this is Salem's show.
It's a Salem show. In our cold open, which just to preface, was a weird cold open for me. Sabrina enters a porch that looks more enclosed than in previous episodes in a large winter coat, and we hear Hilda trilling off screen, then see a fiesta happening in the kitchen. Salem is wearing a sombrero. The aunts are having a Cinco de Mayo celebration in January. Sabrina is less than thrilled by all of this. Zelda was going to ask her to join them, but if she's too uptight, Sabrina changes her tune because there's nothing worse than when your parents call you uptight. Hilda zaps a sombrero on her, and Zelda tells her to try an Olay. Sabrina admits it is kind of fun and goes to try some salsa that Salem warns her is spicy. She thinks she can handle it, but after one bite, she is literally breathing fire.
Yeah, this cold open doesn't necessarily go with the rest of the episode at all.
This has nothing to do with anything, which is fine. We can have cold opens that do that. It was also just random. I think they just wanted to have the fire special effect, and this was the best way they could come up with it.
I feel like it's also very 90s white people Cinco de Mayo as well.
100%. This is definitely like stereotypical borderline mockery.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell Zelda has on her head. The crepe paper flower concoction. I mean, if that is traditional, please let me know. But it looked like what somebody might think is traditional. That is not.
We can leave this cold open behind and say it was a choice, maybe not the right choice. Moving on.
And we're going to get into an outfit intro, which I'm also confused by.
These outfit intros.
I have gotten every single outfit intro before this. Like, they've all made sense. But in this outfit intro, Sabrina is wearing a jockey outfit. She says, "We'll be back in a," and then scrapes the ground with her foot as if she is a horse, minute. And I don't know, was there a pun in there that I'm missing about jockeys? Because they go fast and it's a minute. Is she just pretending to be a horse? I don't understand this outfit intro. It was a weird choice. The jockey outfit was cute on her, but jockeys don't pretend to be horses.
I'm trying to think of what horse thing could even apply, and it's just a blank, so.
Not unless you are Tina from Bob's Burgers riding your imaginary horse at the horse show.
100%. If this were Tina doing this outfit intro,
Yes.
we would be like, okay.
Yes. I'd be like, yes, this makes sense. At least give her like one of those pony heads on a stick to pretend to ride.
Oh, have you seen the new sport, and I use sport loosely, trend of like the horse girls?
I think it's safe to assume I have not.
Should look it up. It's sort of like
Horse girls sport?
Yeah. You know what you'd expect like a horse show, except they're on stick horses.
I mean, that's a step up from the horse girls that I knew in like 5th and 6th grade, where they were just like on all fours pretending to be the horse.
I mean, that's 5th and 6th graders though. These are
adults.
adults.
You know what? Whatever brings you happiness in your life, as long as you're not hurting others, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. If you enjoy it.
Horse girls, please don't get mad at us. Please don't send us hate mail.
Oh, please don't. It's just bringing awareness to Laura that it's a thing. Maybe the horse girls know this outfit intro.
Maybe you're a horse girl and you get this and there is some hidden meaning and we don't know. So you can write in and tell us that, but do not send us your horsey hate. Oh, this is going to be an episode. A new teacher that we haven't seen before is going over some math equations and sneezes when we see his hand in a glove.
Makes sense to me because chalk texture is the worst.
Yeah, I was not ever a fan of the sound of chalk writing on a chalkboard.
Ugh, that's bad too.
He tries to write again, but has to sneeze once more. He has reached his chalk limit for the day. Sabrina raises her hand. She asks about irrational roots. The teacher mocks her. Does she mean irrational, like teenage girls? He rudely asks if she read the textbook, and she admits that it's confusing. He then declares that there will be a test tomorrow, and everyone can thank Sabrina. At home, Salem answers the phone in Sabrina's bedroom. It's Shelly. Salem tells Zelda about it after he gets off the phone, and Zelda asks if that's the ex-girlfriend that left him. She just needed some time by herself. 2 decades? Well, 3. Zelda asks if he told her that he's a cat. Salem did not.
Okay, so Salem only transformed or was transformed in the past 30 years, and he was trying to take over the world. If we're assuming history timeline is the same, is he messed up in Vietnam stuff?
That's what I was thinking.
Okay. Or the Cold War, like, where is he trying to take over?
Cold War would be too late for this. Although, like, undercurrents of Cold War, yes.
Well, he could have been leading up in the Cold War, and finally with Nam, they were like, nah.
There is an episode where we see, if not Salem, like some of his people in military uniforms, which I think will give us a closer timeline that I feel like is very Cold War adjacent.
Okay.
I just don't know when that episode is coming out. But yes, my thought went to Vietnam War, and that was a really messed up war.
Yeah, that's a little cringe.
If Salem was doing some of the things he was accused of, being involved in that war would make sense. That would probably justify 100 years as a cat being involved in that stuff.
We will see, and we will cringe.
There is suddenly thunder and lightning, and Zelda yells for Hilda to stop it, but it wasn't Hilda. Just then, Sabrina comes storming in. They ask what's wrong, and she tells them about her math teacher that is giving the class a math exam tomorrow.
X equals Y me got a hearty chuckle.
She goes to study while zapping up some more thunder and lightning. Sabrina is trying to study in the library when Harvey starts singing our favorite Shake Your Whammy Fanny, funky song, funky song.
You weren't lying about it. Coming back, and so soon.
I don't know if it comes back again after this. This was the time I definitely remembered it coming back. She asked him to please not sing it or else it'll be stuck in her head throughout the test. FYI, side note, there is a song in Korea that is banned during testing season because it is such an earworm, and it's Ring Ding Dong by Shiny, and they ban it like on radio play and stuff like that so that it doesn't get stuck in students' heads while they have to take their tests.
Amazing. Let's add it to our soundtrack list, please, for this episode.
Absolutely, because it's also an amazing song. But yes, it is very, very catchy. Harvey apologizes and goes back to reading while silently bobbing his head. Sabrina can still hear him thinking it, though. Sabrina, meanwhile, is trying to remember the quadratic formula, which I still remember thanks to a song my math teacher taught me. Would you like to hear my song?
I would love to.
X equals negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Thank you to a teacher whose name I cannot remember. But I remember the quadratic formula, and that's what matters.
Crazy the songs you learn. Like, I still know the counties of Idaho because of a song in 4th grade.
Oh, we had a counties of Utah one too. I can't remember the whole thing. I can remember parts of it, but my sister's really close friend, she can sing the whole thing still, and she is 44.
So Idaho, they do their license plates by identifying the county. So if you see like an 8B license plate, it says they're from Bonneville County. So anytime I'm driving and see an Idaho plate, I instantly am just singing the song and identifying where this person I will never meet is from.
I used to sing it a lot when scheduling schools in their school districts. Harvey is upset that he can't even think the song and asks if he could just finish this verse. Sabrina tries to study again, but starts complaining about her teacher. Harvey tells her she just needs to relax, but she can't. She asks for quiet again, and Harvey tries to slowly and silently turn the page in his book before she gets annoyed and tells him he can turn the page.
1, bold of Harvey to say finish this verse, because that song does not have any verses.
We did hear verses in Sabrina's music video.
Did we?
We did. They were disturbing, but we did hear like part of a verse. Yeah.
I just remember clowns and shake that funky. Okay. Sorry, Harvey. I apologize.
Something about something being on the ceiling.
Oh, the ceiling clowns. Yeah. Apologies, Harvey. I clearly need to go rewatch that creepy music video. Second, I'm just so proud of him for actually reading a textbook and getting ready for biology. Mr. Poole would be so happy.
He would be. Also, his hair is super long in this episode. Sabrina catches up to Cordy in the hallway, and he asks her how to find the slope of a line, but she can't remember.
The slope is slipping.
If only they had more time. She pauses time and looks up the answer, sings Shake Your Whammy Fanny, then restarts time again. By the way, kiddos, rise over run. Slope formula. Y's over X's. She gives Gordy the answer, and they run off to class as the teacher is counting down the time and slams the door right as the bell rings, locking Emma out and declaring F. Gordy thinks she stopped to help a girl in a wheelchair. Mr. Rothwell passes out the exams, but Sabrina has dropped her pencil. She tries to pick it up quietly, but accidentally falls out of her desk and slams it back down. Mr. Rothwell accuses her of trying to cheat and tells her to sit at his desk to take the test. She starts reading the test, but funky song starts playing. Then she gets distracted thinking about Harvey. She goes back to the test and gets distracted again, thinking about how much she hates Rothwell. She tries to think again, but gets distracted by the loud writing and then thoughts of Napoleon. Soon the bell rings and her test is blank. Do you want me to quiz you? I have a list of questions from the test.
How about I do this quiz offline and we can report back?
We can put these on our Instagram.
You can let people judge our post-schooling math skills.
Sabrina is in the kitchen reading out of her spell book and cooking up something in her cauldron. Hilda comes running in because she heard an explosion. Sabrina explains she's cooking up a revenge soup for Rothwell because he made her take the exam in front of the whole class like a zoo monkey, referencing Coco the gorilla who learned sign language.
Sabrina says Coco hate teacher man and is gesturing. I would not necessarily say it is actually the correct sign because I watched it about 5 times. I'm about a year into learning sign language and no means fluent or anything like that. I recognize that it takes a long time to learn, but none of those signs were actually teacher, hate, or man.
Also, a gorilla's not a monkey. I just need to make that point too. It should have been she was in front of the whole class like a zoo ape. So Sabrina is going to give him an expanding butt. Hilda suggests the just desserts spell instead, but it's only to be used as a last resort. She should try talking to him first. Sabrina then asks Hilda to talk to him instead. Hilda arrives at school and asks Mr. Rothwell to talk about the test Sabrina took. He just finished grading them, and Sabrina got an F. Hilda can't believe it. She is welcome to check his work, though.
Which, when he turns around, we see that the expanding butt spell is already in effect, which then makes me have more questions about magic. Is it you can brew the potion and apply this to an effigy of the person and cause it? Or is it just thinking about the person while brewing the potion that makes this happen? I just have questions about how potions now interact with people since Sabrina has not seen Mr. Rothwell since the test.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's just a long distance spell. He tells Hilda the grading scale and asks her what percentage Sabrina got, but she struggles to figure it out.
Which this is another one because he says Sabrina got 2 of the biggies, 3 of the middies, and 1 baby for 45 points. But we literally just said she left her test blank at the end of the bell ringing. Continuity check, please.
He can see why Sabrina failed her math test. Hilda claims it's unfair because she didn't have a chance to study for this meeting. Hilda has joined Sabrina over a larger cauldron. Zelda now comes in to see what smells so sweet. It's revenge. Zelda is concerned they're using a number 2 cauldron. It can't be that serious. She will go talk to him and they will work it out logically. No one can seek vengeance until she gets back and she leaves. Sabrina asks if they can at least make his butt a little bigger, and Hilda says it can be as big as she wants it to be. Zelda is arguing with Mr. Rothwell at school, where we can see that his butt has grown much larger. Mr. Rothwell wonders if their family is dysfunctional, and Zelda is furious. Rothwell excuses himself. He has to get to the gym. All 3 witches are now stirring a huge cauldron and dressed in black witch attire. Zelda admits Sabrina was right. They finish reciting a spell very similar to the one found in Macbeth. Sabrina asks what next, and Zelda tells her to wait and see. Then both she and Hilda cackle.
Very fun scene.
That was great. Which of those hats was your favorite?
I think I focused most on Zelda's, but I do think it was sort of funny that Sabrina had like a black Puritan hat on.
I loved Hilda's giant bow concoction. I felt it was a nice, fun spin on a traditional witch hat, and I would definitely wear that.
I can see that.
Giant bow hat, absolutely. The next day at school, Rothwell is late. Gordy is coming up with reasons why. Maybe he called in sick. Maybe he had car trouble. Maybe the earth yawned and swallowed him up, offers Sabrina. Rothwell comes in complaining about the great injustice he just experienced. Sabrina is excited. Mr. Rothwell got a speeding ticket. Sabrina is not excited. A speeding ticket?
His butt is now a normal size, so either the spell has worn off or the gym really helped.
Sabrina is telling her aunt she doesn't understand why the best they could do was a speeding ticket. Hilda wonders if the lizard's leg wasn't fresh. Zelda assures them he'll find his justice at court, but Sabrina doesn't understand why his butt deflated. So Sabrina doesn't get it either.
Glad we're on the same page.
Salem comes in driving a red toy sports car. Surely this will impress Shelley. It doesn't matter if he's a cat. This car says he has it going on. This is probably the best Salem episode so far.
Agreed. Also, I at least am jealous of his red toy car. I always wanted one of those growing up.
Me too. I'm definitely getting my niece one, and I don't care what my sister says about it.
Oh, my mom has now gotten one for her grandkids. I've just stared, and I'm like, excuse me.
Where was my Barbie Jeep, Mom? Like you had to pay for food or something. I don't know.
Right. She's like, now that I have disposable income. Rude.
At the courthouse.
Which is very pink and purple walls. What kind of set is this? Very distracting.
A man is defending himself against a traffic ticket. The light was yellow. The judge cuts his fine in half since the officer didn't show. He then calls recess and leaves, but Mr. Rothwell exclaims that he wants that judge to stay. He was easy. The previous defendant recognizes Rothwell. Though Rothwell doesn't recognize him, he wouldn't without tears streaming down his face. It's Clifford Weaver, his former algebra student turned novelist, who wrote a book full of hate that Rothwell loved.
Loved the Rage Against the System, Rage Against the Machine little call out there.
Sabrina and Ants arrive at the courtroom just in time to see lightning under a door. They walk into the room to find a large freezer. It must be for them. Which judges take turns in the deep freeze to prevent media bias? Judge Samuels has been in there since 1956. Hilda opens the freezer and the judge comes out. Hilda starts to explain what they need, but he stops them. He must stay pure for the law. Judge Samuels begins the trial of Mr. Rothwell. He reads the charge for speeding, and Rothwell pleads not guilty. Then Samuels reads the charge against the existential code. Mr. Rothwell has never heard of this. He pleads not guilty again, and Sabrina lets out a ha. Samuels asks the prosecution to present its case, and Zelda and Hilda get up, ready to go. Mr. Rothwell is confused. Zelda conjures a witness list in what is probably our worst magic special effect, because there was definitely a clear, disjointed moment in the film, and calls Clifford Weaver. The audience gasps. We have a quick switch over to Salem, gargling with mouthwash to get ready for his date.
Green slime-looking mouthwash.
And then we're back in the courtroom where Clifford Weaver is testifying that Mr. Rothwell failed him. Mr. Rothwell asks to cross-examine. He asks about the book Clifford wrote and asks if the New York Times declared him the best among angry new writers. Clifford confirms both. Mr. Rothwell takes credit for giving him his anger and tells Clifford that he should thank him. Clifford has never been so angry in his life. Wait, that's his second novel. Zelda now calls the arresting officer. Another set of gasps. Hilda is questioning the witness now, asking if Mr. Rothwell is mean. Zelda calls another witness, Sabrina Spellman. More gasps. Sabrina gives her testimony. Mr. Rothwell is completely unfair, doesn't like kids, math, teaching, or chalk, which neither does Skye. You can not like chalk and you can be a good person. The judge asks if she has proof, but it doesn't exist, only in the hearts and minds of those students whose love of math he has destroyed. There's a chance Sabrina may fear math for the rest of her life. Zelda rests their case. Mr. Rothwell gives a closing statement. He is paid to teach math, and that's what he does. He could be more sensitive, but the world is full of people like him, and he's helping his students to get used to the fact that life is unfair. The judge asks if he's going to teach high school for the rest of his life. Mr. Rothwell is just doing this until he can start his own software company. The judge is going to think about this and get a fresh cup of cocoa. And another quick intermission over to Salem, who has the house ready for his date and turns on some soft jazz.
This scene is entirely real cat actor who does a fantastic job. Hope they got some kitty treats and some true brew out of that.
I will ask you though, why is soft jazz the music of choice for romantic moments? Is that what you turn on when you're having a romantic moment? That's not what I turn on when I think about, a date or being with somebody. Like, I don't go the soft jazz route. I don't even know if I own any soft jazz to turn on. Maybe this explains my love life. Maybe I should be more into soft jazz.
We're on some Kenny G. I do think I have a Kenny G CD somewhere, unless Jill has found it and destroyed it because she hates Kenny G.
The judge comes back. He has found Mr. Rothwell not guilty of the existential code violation due to insufficient evidence, but he is guilty as charged on the speeding ticket. The fine will be waived, and instead he is sentenced to a lifetime of teaching high school algebra. Mr. Rothwell is upset. That's not fair. He panics and is swept into a swirling vortex of pencils and papers and is clapped between two chalk erasers.
Which is why the witness papers were so terrible. All the money went into this vortex.
This one, yep. The judge declares that the trial will be stricken from all mortal memories and adjourns the court. Sabrina doesn't understand. How was that sufficient punishment? Zelda says it was the worst punishment for him, and he does teach kids a valuable lesson whether he means to or not. Some people are just jerks, but if you study hard and you don't let him get to you, you will pass algebra and you can forget about him, but he will be stuck with math forever. The doorbell rings and Salem calls for Shelley to come in. He is in the shadows with a mannequin. She comes towards him, but he tells her to stay back. He wants to talk. She felt shut out. He was so consumed with world conquest, but now she's realized he's the best thing that ever happened to her. She wants to give it another try. She tells him to hold her and throws herself back on the couch, and Salem jumps over to her, but she freaks out. His cat! He can explain. Shelley is shocked. He's a cat? He was expecting it to fool her for another 30 seconds. This is not what she had in mind, and she storms out while Salem protests. So unfair.
Purely based off of Shelley's looks, she looks younger, say her 30s. Is she then a witch because she doesn't look like she's aged in the past 30 years? And if she is a witch, how did she not hear about Salem's punishment?
She's definitely a witch because she knew about the world conquest thing. And that was Salem fully witch stuff going on. How she didn't hear about it. This is the 90s. We don't have cell phones that deliver news to us immediately. And it seems like there's no witch equivalent of that either.
There's toaster summons and toaster mail.
Yeah, but I mean, like, maybe all she saw was like Salem Saberhagen and she just like threw the newspaper away and didn't want to read anything more about it because she was so done with him. Or maybe she cast a spell that like prevented any news about him from coming into her life. I know if I could do that with certain people in my life, that I could just like never hear their name again, I would definitely do that.
I think I know a few of them off the top of my head. Okay, I like your explanations there.
Sabrina is studying again with Harvey in the library. She is much more chipper, Harvey notes. She decided not to let Rothwell get to her. Besides, she feels sorry for him since the financing on his software company fell through. Harvey asks if she's noticed how big his butt has gotten.
So the butt is now back. Did they brew another potion?
I'm assuming Sabrina was not best thrilled with the outcome and decided to do a little extra punishment because that's what I would do.
Some pettiness.
Sabrina goes back to studying and sings Funky Song again with Harvey joining in. They get shushed by the other kids in the library. In the end tag, Sabrina finds Salem sighing while looking out her window. She knows he'll be happy again soon. But Shelley was the love of his life. Who could ever replace her in his heart? Sabrina conjures a giant ball of yarn. Salem is so excited. Sabrina knew he'd like it. Like it? He doesn't even remember her name.
Cauldron Watch. Still containing pens. Still provokes the wrath of God in me when I see it. There is a new item. It looks like it could be a pen with a giant green fluffy thing on it.
Okay.
But the texture also looks like it might not be fluffy. And do you remember like those rubbery spiked balls where you could like pull the string on it?
Kush.
Oh, it has a name. It sort of looks almost like there's one of those on an end of a stick.
There were definitely like Koosh ball pens. You can still get them. Well, now they're called rubber fringe. But yeah, Koosh ball pens.
I learned a word today.
So that is our episode. Our next episode is going to be season 1, episode 13, Jenny's Non-Dream, which I remember vividly.
So it's either going to be really good or really bad.
It is really weird.
Okay. Or really weird. It is Jenny. Glad that we have Jenny coming back after what feels like years of abandonment there.
Yeah, we haven't seen Jenny or Libby or Mr. Poole much lately. Yeah, it's definitely, it's a ride. In the meantime, you can like, share, rate, and subscribe this podcast. You can email us at somethingwitchypod@gmail.com, but no horse hate. And you can follow us on Instagram at somethingwitchypod. Until next time,
Stay magical.